Story 1. Emile tricked my vegetarian daughter into eating meat and made her cry. My 9-year-old daughter decided to become a vegetarian about 8 months ago, influenced by her friend's older sister. To our surprise, she stuck to it with genuine commitment. My husband and I support her choice. It's thoughtful and personal, and we've made it a point to respect her decision completely. Unfortunately, my Emile seems to have a huge issue with it for reasons I still don't fully understand. She's made snide comments before and even confronted me about why we allow it. I shut that down firmly a few months ago and made it clear that her opinion wasn't needed or welcome. I thought that was the end of it. Fast forward to Friday night. We had dinner at my in-laws' house. My Emile made spaghetti, meat sauce for the adults, and supposedly a veggie version for my daughter. When she served my daughter, she sweetly said, "Here's a special veggie sauce just for you." Everything seemed fine until halfway through eating, my daughter got anxious and asked her grandma if she was sure there was no meat in the sauce. Emile swore up and down there wasn't. But I took one look at the sauce and knew immediately there was beef in it. My daughter heard me say that, and she burst into tears. I took her into the living room to comfort her while my husband confronted his mom. At first, she played innocent, claiming it was just a mistake. But when it was clear he didn't buy it, she admitted she'd done it on purpose. Her reasoning? She thought that if my daughter tasted how delicious meat was again, she'd give up her vegetarian nonsense. Her exact words. And then it got worse. She said my daughter's emotional reaction to being tricked was troubling, and that we should consider therapy for her. According to Emile, the fact that our daughter cried was a sign that something was wrong with her. At that point, I insisted we leave before I did or said something I'd regret. Honestly, I wanted to throw that plate of spaghetti in her face, but I held it together for the kids. In the car, we made it absolutely clear to our daughter that there's nothing wrong with her and that grandma was completely out of line. Thankfully, she'd already figured that out herself, but it still broke my heart. Later, Emile sent my husband a half-hearted apology text. It started with "I shouldn't have done that," but quickly turned into a lengthy explanation of why meat eating is no big deal and how our daughter overreacted. No real accountability. No sin fiderimos. My husband is trying to figure out what to say to her and how to explain to her why what she did was so upsetting. He's even thinking of using analogies, like asking how she'd feel if someone tricked her into eating a dog to get her to empathize. But honestly, I don't think we should have to explain basic respect and boundaries to a grown woman. Especially when it comes to a child. I told my husband I no longer trust his mom to feed our children. He thinks I'm overreacting and that we should give her another chance once the dust settles. But my trust is gone. She made a deliberate choice to betray our daughter's trust and override a deeply personal boundary, one that we, as her parents, also made clear. And now I'm supposed to just let her have another shot? To make things even more concerning, our 5-year-old has a peanut allergy. My Emile has always scoffed at it, saying people grow out of those and that it's probably not that serious. She's never tried anything reckless yet, but after what she just pulled with the meat, I'm scared. What if next time she decides that's the thing she wants to test? So what do you think? Am I overreacting for saying she's no longer allowed to feed my kids? Or am I justified in not want to take that risk again? Comment 1. You're not overreacting. Your husband is underreacting. I'd say no more meals at Emile's for some time, maybe ever. Comment 2. Your MIL doesn't need to understand your daughter's feelings. She just had to respect them. Between her disregard for one child's vegetarianism and her comments about your other child's peanut allergy, I wouldn't trust her to feed your kids for a very long time. Your daughter's hurt feelings over being fed meat will be nothing compared to an adverse and potentially deadly reaction if she decides to feed your other child peanuts. Comment 3. The body can react very badly to eating something it hasn't been used to for a long time. The enzymes to properly digest it are missing. This could have made your daughter very, very sick. Stand your ground. Comment 4. To me, this is a huge red flag. Especially with your comment that your little one has a peanut allergy that your MIL also does not take seriously. I suspect that if she had gotten away with the meat sauce incident, she would have later tested the peanut allergy. At the very least, she showed a clear disregard for your older daughter's autonomy, which is never okay. I would not allow the kids to eat at her house again. Story 2. MIL lied about having a cold. Got my 3-month-old baby sick. I gave birth to my first baby just over 3.5 months ago. My in-laws live far away, and when they asked to visit us 2 weeks postpartum, I declined. I needed time to heal, adjust, and bond with my baby without added stress. Now that my baby is a bit older, they've finally come to visit and are staying in our home for a full month. The moment they walked through the door, I noticed my mother-in-law had a loud, persistent, hacking cough. Practically right away, she looked at me and said, "I have a cough, but it's not contagious." Instant red flags. I pulled my husband aside and told him I was concerned. He brushed it off, insisting she's had this cough forever and that it's just asthma. The next day, I walked into the guest room and caught her taking cold medicine, the kind you pack in your suitcase when you know you're sick. The box was sitting right there in her travel bag. I also noticed she'd been going through a ton of tissues. At this point, she'd already held my baby several times, touched his hands, spoken closely to him, and handed him toys that, of course, went straight into his mouth. I was furious. I grabbed my baby and went to stay with my parents. Everyone acted like I was overreacting, but I didn't care. Lying to me, hiding a cold, and still insisting on meeting the baby just to satisfy her own desire? That's beyond selfish. And the worst part? A few days later, my baby came down with his first cold. I know he was going to catch a cold eventually, but not this soon. Not before he even turned 4 months old. It didn't have to happen like this. My husband is devastated that our baby is sick, but I'm still incredibly angry, not just at his mom, but at him too. He still won't admit that she lied or acted selfishly. I truly believe he's afraid to admit it, because doing so would mean having to hold his mom accountable. He wants to believe the best in her, but everything about this situation points to someone who knowingly hid an illness and put a newborn at risk. She said the cough wasn't contagious, yet she brought cold medicine. She claimed it was asthma, but she was blowing her nose constantly. She knew, and she still chose to be around my baby. In the middle of all this, I let my husband have it. I told him plainly that he neglected my concerns and, worse, our baby's health just to keep the peace with his mom. And by doing that, he made everything harder for me and for our child. That's not something I can easily forgive. But what hits me the hardest is the guilt. I feel like I failed my son by staying even a moment after they arrived. I should have left the second I heard that cough. I believe them, and I wish I hadn't. Now the trust is gone. I don't know how I'll ever look at them the same way again. And right now, I honestly don't care how upset or regretful my husband feels. All I care about is my baby and making sure he's safe from people who clearly didn't put him first. Comment 1. That's messed up. I hope your husband grows a pair and stands up to his mom before she gets another chance to put baby at risk. Comment 2. Why are MILs so selfish? My baby got sick at 3 weeks, 3 months, and 6 months because people hide their colds. I'm so sick of it. 3 weeks and 3 months was the worst. Get a Frida nose sucker, humidifier in the baby room, and when you run the shower, put baby in the room so they can feel the steam and help with congestion. Comment 3. I am so sorry. Your anger is righteous. Stay with your parents until he figures out he is a husband and father before he is an obedient little boy. And never trust MIL again. I'm not even a kid person, but there is no way in hell I am risking infecting an infant. She's a monster. Story 3. Imagine being nearly 60 years old and crying to your son because his wife doesn't treat you like her best friend. I'm currently 7 months pregnant after suffering a midterm loss last year. For context, my MIL referred to me as her son's friend until the day we got married. She then proceeded to tell him that marrying me was disappointing because I was hateful. I try to keep the peace by reminding my husband to text her and other family members on their birthdays, send gifts for Mother's Day, and buy Christmas presents for her, FIL and SGL. I even go out of my way to physically pick out and wrap the gifts. Yet, somehow, I'm still not doing enough for her or her family. Whenever we visit them, she sits in tense silence if we're left alone. The moment someone else is in the room, she turns into miscongeniality. If I offer to cook a meal, she always finds a way to say, "We can't eat that." Examples: homemade potato soup, biscuits and gravy, pasta, osso bucho, all things I consider basic but delicious. I'll make the meal anyway, but she won't touch it. One Christmas, I spent over $300 on family photos for her. Most of the pictures didn't include me, which I was totally fine with, as I wanted her to have updated pictures of just their family, plus a few with us all together. After 8 months of her saying she couldn't decide which picture she liked best, I went ahead and picked the ones I thought she'd like and had them framed for her birthday. She ignored all my attempts to finalize which print she wanted, and I couldn't even give her the gift because I couldn't get an answer on the frames. When I was in the hospital after losing my first child, she didn't speak to me unless someone else was in the room. The only thing she ever asked about was the baby. The same weekend, my husband reached out to her and asked if they could help with anything while I was on bed rest, 30 minutes away in the hospital. The one thing I asked them to do was empty the cat litter box. They have cats, so they knew what to do, and sweep the floors. When I got home, the house smelled like ammonia and everything was a mess. I wasn't expecting a big effort, but some acknowledgement of the small favor I asked would have been nice. After my loss, she texted me once while we were leaving the hospital with our dead baby in my arms. Then, I didn't hear from her for 2 months. The first time I reached out was to ask about the family pictures. With my current pregnancy, she started texting me multiple times a week. It was always the same message, just checking on you and the baby. While I appreciated the concern, it got repetitive. I stopped responding every time, but would text her back at least once a week. She then messaged my husband asking why I wasn't responding to her. I explained, and he must have said something to her, because after that, Her messages consisted of nothing but a thumbs up medium light skin toned. Recently, when they visited, she asked who did the printing and framing for the pictures in my hallway. I told her I did it, and, honestly, in a slightly snide tone, mentioned that's what I had planned to do for her birthday, but she had ignored me for months. Apparently, that upset her so much that she wanted to leave and stay at a hotel. File dips tobacco heavily, and when they stayed in our guest room, he left brown, saliva stains all over the bed. I'll give them some credit. They at least stripped the sheets and brought them to the laundry, but they left the stained mattress protector on the bed and wadded up the quilt and tossed it in a corner. They also haven't gotten their male dog neutered, so he peed all over my house. I told my husband I didn't want their dog staying over anymore, especially since the other dog is old, has no bladder control, and is mean. He told them, and they apologized. But guess who was cleaning up the mess as it happened? Me. Pregnant, mind you, and doing strenuous activity I shouldn't be. I made my husband shampoo the carpets. At Christmas, Emile kept mentioning how hard it was for her not to tell her parents about my pregnancy, since they kept asking why we weren't there for the holidays. The truth is, after losing my son a few months ago, I didn't feel like being anywhere but my own home, where I could break down privately. Also, I'm high risk, and my pregnancy is none of anyone's business until I'm ready to talk about it, especially with people who didn't even acknowledge my first loss. She kept pestering me about when we would visit them next, and I apparently told her 2 years. I don't remember saying this, but I was frustrated at the time. She claimed she cried in the car after that, though I was driving and she was sitting next to me, so not sure how that worked. Despite all the thumbs up medium light skin tone responses she's given me, I continued sending her updates about the baby. 2 weeks ago, I sent her a picture of something personalized I bought for him, and all I got in response was another thumbs up medium light skin tone. They're staunch anti-vaxxers. Not sure if it's from Jenny McCarthy or Fox News. I requested that everyone, including my conservative parents, get the flu and Tdap vaccines, the same ones my husband and I were getting. But for her, staying pure is more important than meeting the baby. After all of this, she called my husband in tears, saying I don't treat her like a best friend. She claims she likes me and treats me the same as her daughter, going out of her way to make me feel welcome, which is categorically untrue. She says I make her feel unwanted and that she doesn't want to visit us anymore. I don't understand the thought process here. When we visit them or they visit us, my husband and FIL stay outside to drink and talk until 2 a.m. or later. This leaves me alone in the house with his mom. I try to make the best of it, offering her nice things like clean rooms, a spotless bathroom, and home-cooked meals. I'll even make restaurant recommendations and go with them wherever they want. But when she's just sitting on her phone, not engaging with me, what more am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to entertain her like she's a child? Do I have to do more than I already am just to be welcoming in her eyes? I'm stressed, pregnant, and dreading a lifetime of this. I'm terrified my child will become a pawn in all of this drama. Comment 1. She doesn't want to put the effort in with you, but you still want to make sure your husband brings baby around and is on her side. Don't do anything. You've done your best, and the woman chooses to be a total you-know-what. Let her. Stop engaging. Stop making it your problem to buy her gifts, etc. She knows what she's doing. Comment 2. I always wonder if people who are like this, complaining that you aren't visiting with them enough when they don't give anything back, are expecting a puppet show or something. Comment 3. First, stop doing all that crap for her. That's your husband's job. She's his mother. He can buy gifts and keep track of birthdays just as easily as you can. Second, stop interacting with her. Gray rock all the way if you're forced to be around her, but aim for low to no contact. Especially right now. Do not let her anywhere near you during labor and delivery. Third, stop having them to your house. They clearly have no respect for it. You can see them somewhere else, and they can stay in a hotel. Story 4. Update. Imagine being nearly 60 years old and crying to your son that his wife doesn't treat you like her best friend. First of all, baby boy has finally arrived, and he's a perfect little bundle of chaos. As for MIL, she's been completely silent with me since before the birth. No texts, no calls, no interaction whatsoever. She's only been in touch with my husband, which I'm sure will change once he's back at work and doesn't have the time to respond to her messages at his leisure. Eventually, he'll probably get tired of talking to her all the time too, but that's a bridge we'll cross when we get to it, back into the hell of it all. Thankfully, she waited until I posted about the baby's arrival on social media before making her own announcement. But, of course, she had to post publicly even though I explicitly asked everyone not to. She only tagged my husband in her post, so yeah, my feelings of just being an incubator for her are definitely being confirmed right now. On top of that, they still refuse to get vaccinated, even with measles making its way through her state. We're heading into flu season, and my husband wants to visit them in a few months. I can already see how I'm going to be the bad guy in that situation, which is going to be just so much fun. As for the comments on my last post, I know there's a problem with my husband. Parenthood has opened my eyes to that more than ever. Maybe I'm directing some of my anger at her. Maybe it's her crying to him and me being dragged into the middle of it all that set off my internal rage. Maybe their entire family is just full of assholes, or maybe it's me. Who knows? That's something therapy can sort out when I hit my breaking point. Either way, I'm just over it. Comment 1. She isn't upset that you aren't best friends. She's upset she can't treat you like shit and still get everything she wants. I mean, how dare you? Love your last sentence, BTW. Comment 2. Absolutely do not visit in-laws or have them come to your home. You need to protect your baby from health issues. Your husband appears to be failing you and your baby. He needs to step up and finally do something with his mother. Comment 3. You aren't the problem. You aren't the bad guy. There will be no visit to anti-vaxxers, period, until baby has had complete vaccinations. Your husband doesn't get to run off with daddy and leave you alone with a woman he knows hates your existence. If you do visit them in the future, he has to stay by your side the entire time, or you hop in the car with baby and leave. Comment 4. You just keep being the bad guy and protecting your family. Congratulations on your newest, most beautiful family member. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in the next video.